Okay, so I wanted to wait and make this video until the official review and reaction embargo had lifted today for Supergirl, because I feel like getting a lot more opinions across the industry was better than just people who were invited to the red carpet premiere. There are some content creators, some of which we report on and follow here at the channel, that their whole brand is basically navigating relationships with the studios, and that's not to say that they're shills. They're certainly not. They've shared their opinion when they didn't like something, but it is to say that they're motivated to say something positive when it's on the fence. And I think what I had earmarked the most when we started hearing the early reactions to Supergirl was that those type of people who are motivated to say something good were struggling to do so. And today, where the news outlets are coming out and they've got really no beholden to DC or James Gunn or the DC universe as a whole, well, it paints a very, very succinct picture of Supergirl being another rinse and repeat film in the superhero genre. And is that to say that they're going to stop making them? Absolutely not. Marvel and DC are going to continue to cook up titles for secondary, tertiary characters to do universe building, even if the publishing said in the first place that there's not a real demand for the character. Supergirl is something different, though, because Supergirl has at the very least, cult following. But for fans of the DC universe, Supergirl, while never as popular as Superman, holds a very special place in the canon. And so for a character that has a chance to do something different than Superman within the same skill set, I think there was a lot of excitement for what this film could be. I do not think that one stumble for James Gunn ends the DCU, but we can admit that there has been, well, a mixed bag reaction, and I'm not even counting all of the Snyderverse hangovers that just could not let it go. We're talking about Restore the Snyderverse. Yeah, I love the Snyderverse as much as you guys, but there was just no way it was coming back. It wasn't. We're too far down a new path now with a new Superman. We're not going back to that. It's pretty obvious. And since we're not going back to that, James Gunn's DCU is what we've got. And I think that there have been some diamonds in the rough. Like Peacemaker, I think is absolutely amazing in a way that it didn't have to be. And for a character that really doesn't demand that kind of attention, the Peacemaker series is incredible. And I rather liked Superman. It may not have done financially what DC had hoped. It didn't hit the $1 billion mark. It really didn't even come close, but it was a solid entry in kicking off the universe. And again, one stumble isn't going to derail anything. Supergirl comes out, it underperforms. Maybe it's not even a financial success. Maybe it ends up with a Rotten Tomato score of somewhere around 72 or 75. There were plenty of Marvel movies that came out in the early years that weren't bangers. Here's looking at you, Thor: Dark World. And there are other films to come from DC where we know they're going to keep taking chances with characters like Clayface. So I don't think this changes anything, but I don't think it's great because by all accounts, what Supergirl is being purported to be is basically a facsimile, just a rinse and repeat. This is what a superhero movie is. And I was afraid of it from the trailers. Watching the trailers, I had to remind myself, this isn't a James Gunn movie. And it really feels like the director maybe just tried to make his own James Gunn film, and that's a very particular tone and a master at it, to say the least. And what it feels like happened here is that they put a villain, insert your villain here, and that he's not great. And while Millie Alcock's performance seems like it may be the one thing that's trying to hold this whole film together, as people had positive things to say about it, it sounds like another case where maybe the script, the premise of the film, its whole reason for existing is only self-serving and doesn't really make heads or tails of why you should care about this movie in the first place. And the other thing that's being reported ad nauseum is that they underutilized Lobo, which I think was one of the major selling points for this film. I actually expected him to be the main villain and was surprised when it turns out that he wasn't. So, all things considered, what does this mean for the future of the DCU? Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't change anything. The Marvels came out. It was a bomb at the box office. It was critically not acclaimed, and the fandom really didn't come around on the Marvels until it hit Disney Plus, and everybody watched it and said, hey, this wasn't that bad. But it didn't do great, and Marvel's still going to come out with Avengers: Secret Wars in the same way that DCU is going to continue building their universe, and James Gunn and the crew over there are going to keep making films to build out their universe. But hopefully there's some lessons in here that they can learn. And for me, one of the main things is I think less is more, especially for the DCU. Look, the Marvel machine, the Disney machine is on its own schedule, and even they had to rein it back and start doing 2 films, 3 TV shows a year, instead of their impossible 3 films and 5 TV shows or whatever they had going for the last half decade. The DCU just doesn't need to do this. And I do wonder sometimes when you take profitable IP, you put it at a mega corporation like Warner Brothers, if there isn't the same thing that happened with Marvel and Bob Chapek, this need or this want to have to rinse that IP at all costs to make the bottom dollar, to make their earnings reports and the sales reports calls for the investors always look great to drive the stock price. And so there is going to be this directive for them to continue to make Supergirl, Superman, and all these other movies to fill out the DC universe. Quite honestly, the way that the superhero landscape is right now, if a film doesn't have a really good reason for existing, it's not going to command the type of audience and attention that superhero films were demanding, say 10 or 15 years ago. And I know that sounds really silly in a moment when we're about to have a new Spider-Man film that is going to break $1 billion or more. And Avengers Doomsday is right around the corner and may rival Avengers Infinity War and Endgame at the box office. Secret Wars definitely will. Yes, there is going to be huge attention for that. And I think maybe the point underlying all of this is that DCU is not going to stumble with one or even two bad box offices. If Supergirl comes out and Clayface comes out and they don't do great, that really doesn't change anything. They keep going on their plan, but it's going to mean a lot less whenever we get to the crossover that's in works right now, which the DCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is franchise storytelling that's based on huge crossovers being where they get to at the end of the storyline. That's what fans expect. And yeah, there's not a race to the finish line here, but every step they take along the way, another film, another TV show as an entry into the DCU is counting towards that. So I just want to see them be more cautious with their steps. And I definitely think that there is a certain demand for quality that James Gunn sets right off the bat, and that, you know, huge brands like DC and Marvel have as well. And when you just don't live up to them, here's looking at you, Star Wars, the fandom won't settle. Like, you're not going to get near enough is good enough with these mega fandoms. And you would think that they know that, and they probably do. And it's easy for some guy on YouTube to second guess all of the inside marketing meetings and analytics and all the stuff that must go into why they made a Supergirl movie in the first place. But even a great actor giving a great performance cannot save bad writing and a bad film, or in this case, what's maybe just a bland movie or a bland film, a bland script. And so I really hope that whatever's going to happen here in the future, whatever lessons need to be learned from Supergirl, if it doesn't come out and achieve the type of numbers they were hoping for, that they learn their lesson. That being said, you can also guarantee that no one over at Warner Brothers, James Gunn, any of them are like, you know what, Supergirl's going to make $1 billion. There's no chance they thought that at all. In fact, they probably have very realistic expectations about what's going on with that film. And I saw some people pointing this out as a negative, as if it was meant to save the film, though they were reporting it the wrong way. There are so many financial partners that have taken a piece of and that are using promotion and marketing running through Supergirl that ultimately it's a win, because what some people forget is that the films aren't the basis for the money on this anyway. They make way more off the toys, the merchandise, everything else from licensing than they do the movies anyway. If the movies even break even and drive the brand, then they make money. And so, I don't know, you can look at any box office number, even if it doesn't break even, and say, hey, that was a failure. But I mean, if it's going to sell toys and merch and everything else through licensing, it's not. Keep in mind, when you have a movie that's profitable like Superman, that also goes a long way in offsetting when you don't have a movie that's maybe as profitable as Supergirl. Now, the projections for the box office for this have been all over the place. I can't wait to actually see what they are on Monday. I also can't wait to hear what you guys think. And I think it's important to remind y'all at the end of this video, I say it like a broken record over on Everything Always, guys, go into these films with an open mind of your own. Like, yeah, you can listen to people that you trust, and you can look at a general consensus of the reports and first reactions and reviews, and there's no reason you can't carry that with you, but go in with an open mind. It is totally okay to like something that other people didn't like. It is totally okay to not like something that other people do. That happens all the time. It's called taste. It's called art. It is completely subjective. Try to remember that, and don't let any of this ruin your Supergirl experience. I'm certainly going to see it this weekend, and we'll give you guys my honest thoughts. Maybe I'll add a comment and pin it at the bottom of this, but I'm definitely interested in what you guys think. It'll start hitting theaters in the US tomorrow. Feel free to tell me in the comments what you thought. Were the reviews fair? Is the movie a 5 out of 10? Is it bland? I'm all ears. Let me know down in the comments. Also, guys, this is a brand new channel. This is our second video. If you could be so kind as to do all the things, like it, comment, subscribe, More than anything, subscriptions for a young channel like this are going to go so far in helping grow the channel. I would sincerely appreciate them, but no worries. If you don't, no one's going to know, least of me. I just appreciate the view. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.